wake up in the morning, I see rain, say no again. I really don't like so much. I think nobody likes the wet.
So when I wake up in the morning and I see some rain, you know, most of the riders are complaining and are not happy. But when I see this, for me, it's exactly the same as when it's dry.
If you ask this question to the riders, for sure they will say they don't like rain.
I like the wet conditions. I had no problem with the wet. You know, I sort of sure I prefer the dry, but the wet I won many times in the wet.
I honestly don't believe anybody likes riding in the wet, especially with these bikes.
I like it because under the water everything is more calm, even the world in general.
It's more the rider that makes the difference than the bike. You have to be sensitive with the bike to have a really high concentration, maybe higher than on the dry.
Everything together has to work very well, and especially the rider has to trust his material, everything.
You need to know to feel the bike. If you don't feel the tires, for sure when you go into the corner you lose the bike and you crash.
The walls get a lot closer when you're in the wet, and when you crash, it's hard to stop.
You know, it's much more delicate. You know, you can't be as aggressive. You can't be so, you know, although you're slow, you're still pushing hard, but you've got to be very smooth. So the weight transfer needs to be nice and smooth. When you release the brake, you know, it can release a little too much and go away. So with the rear brake, it helps squat the whole motorcycle and it'll move a little more balance.
You cannot put too much force on the tire. It closes up the grooves that we have, and you end up losing a lot of grip, but then you can't be too soft as well because you get too much movement and the bike becomes uncomfortable.
What you do is you make the suspension springs, front and rear, a little bit smoother, so you make suspension softer. Normally you tend to open the compression, the damping system to make everything working a little bit smoother.
And despite what a lot of people believe, you know, people think that you have to be very, very smooth in the wet, and to a certain degree, yes, you do. But on the throttle and brakes, you actually do need to be a little bit more aggressive than what most people think.
In front of the TV, you say, yeah, it's wet, so it's the same every time. But I don't think I had in my life the same condition of wet.
I remember in Assen, you know, when it started, before the race got red flagged in the first half, there was so much water on the track, you know, I was sitting my butt all the way over the back of the seat, just playing with the gas because it just kept spinning because of the amount of water that's on the track.
You never know how is the limit, so you have to be a little bit crazy.
I can sit there and do nothing, or I can be out there and compete. And when I've got to go and compete.